Hello, this is Colin with Maker Farm. This video we're going to show you the i3v Prusa. We're going to show you how to set the end stops and how to do our first initial test. You should have followed the build guide to go ahead and connect your power supply to your printer. Also make sure that you followed the wiring diagram in the previous video that showed you how to plug in everything into your electronics. At this point, you should be able to turn your power supply on, and on our screen you should be able to get a message. Let me reset the printer here, and it'll come up and tell you that the printer is ready. Depending on the hot end you should have your fan running, and we should be all ready. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set our end stops. To do that, at the main screen we push our LCD knob. We're going to move it, turn it until you're on prepare, push the knob again, and then you're going to go to auto home. As soon as we press this, what should happen is our extruder should move all the way over and contact our end stop switch. Our heat bed should move forward and contact our Y switch, and then our Z axis will move down and it'll contact our Z switch. This first test, when we do this, we want to make sure that they're all going the correct direction. If we were to push auto home and our X-axis carriage were to move the opposite direction, we're going to want to manually push this button to prevent it from getting all the way to the edge and damaging it. Same thing with the Y bed. If it goes the wrong direction, you can push that. Same with the Z-axis, you can push that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead here and now push our button, go to prepare, go to auto home, and we're going to watch it now. Okay, so our hot end is moving to the right, our heat bed is moving forward, and our Z-axis is moving down. You can see how far away our nozzle is from the glass. Okay, so we successfully homed, but our Z-axis is off. So I'm going to loosen that, lower it down a bit. We'll try about there. I'm going to come back up here again. We're going to go to prepare, auto home. We're going to watch it, see how close the nozzle gets. Okay, that's a little bit better, but it's still too high. Okay, we're going to go ahead and try that again. And I'm going to watch the nozzle this time. If it gets too close to the glass, I'll manually push that. Okay. So it looks to be pretty good. So it's maybe a millimeter above the glass. So that's a good start for now. So now what I'm going to do, we're going to check that the nozzle is the same distance in the other corners. And since we have the bed leveling springs in these corners, we can go ahead and adjust those. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my LCD and I'm going to push the button, go to prepare, go to disable steppers. Now I can manually move this over, so I can see as I'm moving it, that nozzle is getting closer to the glass. So because of that, I'm going to grab my tools. I'm going to adjust this corner because I want that to be the same distance, about a millimeter above the glass. It's still a little close. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to move it forward, and it's already starting to touch the glass. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to move it to the other side. That is touching the glass, so we're going to adjust that. And we're going to check the home again. In our home now, it's a little bit higher above the glass, so I'm going to go back and adjust the corners again, so that they're all the same distance. Okay, now I'm going to drop, you have to use two hands to adjust this, but I'm going to lower that Z end stop a tiny bit. Okay, now we're going to go back. I'm going to move that into the center of the bed. I'm going to go back to my LCD, repair, auto home. And so now I can adjust this again until I get that just barely above the glass. Okay, I'll do that later since I need to use two hands to do that. The next thing we're going to show you on your LCD, you push the knob. Next one we can go down to is prepare. You've got a preheat where you can go ahead and preheat to ABS or PLA temperatures. You usually don't need to do that. So we're going to go back to the main menu here. If you push the button again, we can go down to control. We can manually change temperatures and stuff like that. You may do temperatures if you have a print that you're printing and right now it's set for ABS temperatures and you want to do it for PLA temperatures. After you tell it to print, you can come in here and adjust those temperatures. Go back to the main menu. The next thing is you have your SD card you can get. You can load G-code onto this, and then that will go right into the side of the printer like that. Once you put that in, when we push the knob, we can go down to our card menu. On the guide, there's going to be a software section and there's going to be a test G-code. You want to go ahead and download that, put that on an SD card. We're going to run that now. So we just highlight it, we're going to push the knob, and we're going to watch what the printer does. So it should start off homing in the back right corner. Okay, so that was that. We can see that our printer went to all the axes and everything's working. You can see how long it took to actually do that. The next thing that we have here on the main screen, you'll notice if I turn the knob, it's going to change that FR setting. That's basically your feed rate. That's your speed. So if you're printing something and it was really small and you wanted to slow down the print, you could go ahead and turn it down. If you turn it to 50, it's going to print at half the speed. If you crank it up to 200, it's going to print at twice the speed. So that's what you can use also. Next thing we're going to do, if we go back into the card menu, right now we're going to go and we're going to pick an actual piece of G-code to print here. So this is just a little fan duct. As soon as I click print, you'll notice two things happen. We have our hot end temperature. This is what it's set to. This is what it's currently at. You can see it's rising. And this one over here is the heat bed. Currently it's set to, the target temperature is 70 degrees, and currently it's at 24 degrees Celsius. So you can see both of those are climbing. Depending on the version of slicer that we use or other software, it will either set the heat bed first, and once the heat bed reaches temperature, then it will set the hot end, or this one that I'm using, it sets them both at the same time. So while this is heating, some other things that we can check. Your printer is going to, you're going to have these motors, and we can adjust the potentiometers on the side of the machine. And to do that, you're going to want to refer to your build guide for the correct voltages for your motor. Just typically by default, the way they're set will work just fine. But if you did want to adjust them, one thing that we may want to adjust is our extruder. We don't want our extruder motor getting hot since it's on plastic pieces. So what you could do in our electronics, you've got your extruder stepper driver here, and there's a little potentiometer. If you turn that potentiometer a tiny bit counterclockwise, it's going to give it less current, and it's going to keep it a little bit cooler. If you turn it too far, turning it counterclockwise, it won't have enough torque to actually turn that motor, so you don't want to turn it too far. But you can turn it down, and if it's skipping steps, you can turn it up a tiny bit until it stays cool, or stays as cool as you can get it, but it doesn't skip steps. You could do that for the other axes. It's not necessary. The extruder one is the one that you may definitely want to adjust so that it doesn't heat up too high. So that is how you can adjust those. There's also going to be a link in the build guide where it will show you how to set those stepper drivers using a voltmeter, which is going to be the most accurate way of doing it. So now you can see here we're almost at our temperature for a hot end and heat bed. At this point, let's say we were printing this, but I wanted a different heat bed temperature. I could come in here now, and I could go to tune. It's now tune instead of prepare, and I can actually change all of these items. So I could go to the bed, and instead of 70, I could change it to 60. Flow, that is going to be how much filament you're actually putting out. So if you're printing a piece and it seems like it's not putting out enough filament and it's kind of lacking, you can actually increase the flow and you'll be able to get more filament out. So now I'm going to go all the way up, go back to main, and go back to watch. I guess I should show you this. You can also pause your print. So this is if you're almost out of filament. You can come in here, pause it. When the machine stops, you can pull it out, push new ones in, or you can just stop it if you don't want to print it anymore. So now we can go back to watch. You can see our hot end is at temperature, our heat bed. I've got 2 G-codes in there where it sets it heat bed temperature twice, so I'm going to change that back to 60, and we'll see. As soon as I do that, you can see the printer starts moving. First thing it does is it's going to home the printer. Then the next thing it's going to do is you're going to see it's going to start printing. You're going to have on your screen a time that's going to show you how long it's been printing. You're going to show you what percent of the print is complete. You're going to see your Z height, your Y location, and your X location. So now you can see it's moving down, getting ready to print. You can see our extruder motor is turning, and it's turning the correct, the large gear is turning the correct direction for filament. So we know we're set there. If when we were homing any of the axes, or if we were printing and the extruder motor was going the wrong direction, at that point all we have to do is, right now I'm going to stop the print, what you would do is you would unplug your power to your printer. And let's say the extruder motor was going the wrong direction. All I need to do is unplug this extruder motor, flip it around, plug it back in, and now when I print, it's going to be going the correct direction. And you can do that with any of the axes. You can do it with the extruder, the Y, the X, or the Z motors. And then you don't have to change the firmware, which you could change the firmware also. So that is the basic setup at that point for our printer. The next step would be loading filament in and printing, and we'll be doing that in a later video. Thank you.